Good morning, everybody. Today we are going to be back working on the briefcase. I think today we're going to be doing the edges on the shoulder pad that we did a few days ago. Magnet snaps are on the way, so pretty soon I'll be able to put the closures on. And I think I'm going to make a few last minute additions to the design. I'll go over those today as well, like what I'm going to do. Let me go ahead, turn the lights on. We can turn this down a little, move certain things out of the way. Okay. There's the continuity camera. Get you set up. We're going to move this belt we were working on yesterday. I did not get around to finishing the video today or yesterday, so I'm going to do that on my own time. We're going to just hang that up here along with the other belts that I've got. All right. So, like I said, we're going to do the my brain's not working. The edges on the shoulder pad. So for anyone who missed it, this is the shoulder pad. I think it turned out really cool. It looks really cool. I need to sand and bevel and like burnish the edges and get it all nice and smooth and good feeling, because I haven't touched the edges at all and they're pretty rough. And this was yet again another thing that I was gonna do off camera, but I ended up just not getting around to it. Another thing I gotta do is burnish the edges on the straps, because I haven't touched the edges on these straps at all, because it's a little more difficult to burnish this kind of belt leather than the other one. So go ahead and slide this off. And I'm going to just move these strap pieces back over this little side table. So the first thing we're going to do, and this is going to get really loud for a second, so bear with me. We are going to go over to the power burnisher or power sander, and we're just going to do a rough sand on these edges just to get them evened out and get everything smoothed out. And then we're going to go from there. So I'm going to move the workshop camera over. It's not a good angle. So just bear with me here for a second. Okay, so that's the power burnisher. music. These. I think my phone is vibrating for some reason. Okay. All right. So this is the power burnisher. I'm going to lower you down a little bit. Alright, I don't have a light for this section, but turn this on, we're going to spin. So as soon as I turn this on and I'm going to turn the shop back on, it's going to get very, very loud for a minute. So you might want to turn down volume. So yeah, I just want to make sure everything is perfectly smooth. Alright, so now I can feel that there's no like extra bits on the outside here, on the edges. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do an initial Tolkanol burnish just to get everything slicked down and flat and smooth. And then we're going to start going up in the grit. I don't think I'll go all the way to 5,000 grit. That might be a little excessive for this. But I'll probably go up to like 1,000-ish. And then every layer we're going to put a finish on, buff it, then sand with the next layer, so on and so forth. You'll see here. So, okay, so first, oh, shiitake mushrooms, right, I misplaced my burnisher. Fuck. Okay. Well, this is a little awkward. I somehow misplaced my burnisher, and I'm not sure where it is. I feel like this is deja vu. This is what happened to me. Whoa. Deja vu. This is what happened to me when I first started and I lost my first burnisher. And this is a much nicer burnisher than the one that I lost. And I really, really, really hope that I didn't lose this one. Could be... Oh yeah, I see it. It's on the floor. Okay, we're going to take a little trip behind the workshop table here. there it is. Thank God. Oh my God, you have no idea how worried I was. Oh. Okay. Okay. Now, we're going to do our initial toconal layer. Oh. Then we're going to go from there. And I'm going to lower you guys down so you're a little more... This feels a little more personal instead of being so far away. Okay. So this is just the initial layer to get everything slicked down really nice. And you notice I'm not beveling. The reason for that is that over the course of doing all the layers and sanding, you end up just creating a new edge, and you have to end up beveling again, and it looks weird if you've already beveled the first time, which is something that I've learned with doing these edges. So I always just leave the beveling till last if I'm gonna like try and develop a really nice shine on the for just a normal burnish like I do on the belts. Obviously this is not necessary, but you can you actually should go ahead and bevel beforehand. But okay, so like on the belt, I want to use the smallest notch, which is the second smallest one on this, that can fit on here. And we want to just get a lot of repetitions in here because we want all those fibers really matted down. To the point where they're not going to come up during the rest of the sanding process. Here it's already developing that nice click. So this might actually be quicker than I initially thought it would be. Yeah, I'm having to move up one. Okay. So this is nice and burnished on this side. We can do the same thing on the other side. I'm sorry I'm a little lower energy today. So I think I just want to take it easy, do the edges on this, and it's a nice, just simple thing to do. Oh, and I guess actually while I'm doing this, I can talk about the other kind of modifications I'm going to make to the bag from the original design. And this is why you make something, you know. You make it, and you have to be willing to make adjustments, like for the wallet pocket, making it 3D versus flat, or in this case, for this thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, one, add a passport pocket on the back of the bag, unlike the back on the outside. And then, I don't know if you've ever seen from certain bags, especially, I mean, I include this on all my backpacks. I always include this flap on the back of the bag that you can slide onto like a suitcase handle, just for easier transport. And I figured, because there's no rivets currently on the back side of the bag, so like the straps going all the way back are just kind of open there, I figured it could be cool to do to rivet a flap on there, and then from there conceal a little pocket back there and make it nice to put on a suitcase if you're traveling, because the idea is that this is like an all-use bag, right? Like someone's going to spend a lot of money on this bag. They're going to want it to function no matter what they're doing, whether they're going to work, going to a meeting, or traveling. You know, they want it to be able to function for all those things. So that's why I want to include all these different pockets and functionalities. And okay, so we've got that nice initial burnish, and it's feeling good. Now, here comes the more, I don't want to say tedious, but it is a little tedious part of the edging process. So, excuse me, I've got my little sanding block here, and I've got many different grits of sandpaper. So it's already sanded up to 85 grit, it's already sanded up to 85 grit, which is what's on the burnisher, on like the power wheel thing that we just used. And the stack that I have goes up to 5,000 grit. I'm not going to sand up to 5,000 grit. I'll probably sand the edges of the bag up to 5,000 grit when I get to that stage. Yeah, so you just hold it on the block, and I'm just going to sand, and I don't need to sand super hard. There's no need to use a lot of pressure. And this might not work as well with suede as it's going to work with other materials, because suede is just like a lot of nap. But we're going to try it. We're going to, yeah. My other option obviously is to paint all the edges blue to match the suede color, but I don't know if that would look like kind of tacky and like cartoonish, you know? I feel like it might, so that's why I kind of second guessed myself. Okay. Now, a little extra step that I like to do is I've got this brush here, little horsehair brush, and I like to just brush the edges and get any extra fibers that are maybe on there, like little, I guess, leather dust, like sanding dust, and just kind of get it off before I put the finish on. And that tends to just help develop a really nice glassy feel faster. So I just find the direction the nap wants to go in, and I just start brushing. This suede might give bigger problems. I'm not quite sure. I also see that I have some lighter areas on the edges of the actual bag body itself. I didn't even realize that. Okay. And then I'm going to grab my finish. It's the same finish we've used all over this bag. And I'm going to grab a little foam brush. I'm going to grab a foam brush, and I'm going to grab, I may have one here, a little cotton bag. I had one that I was using for other stuff. Okay, yeah. So grab one of these little like canvas bags, and this is what I'm going to use to burnish from here on out. So foam brush. I have a billion of these at all times. Super useful. Little foam brush. Got our finish. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't really want to have to move the camera around every time. Yeah, you can see me like this. Isn't a great solution, but okay. So I'm just dipping it in there and getting the finish soak in, and this finish a little goes a long way. So you don't want to get too much on there because I don't want it to streak down on the backside onto the suede. But I do want it to go on fairly heavy, just in a controlled manner. And these foam brushes, they tend to soak up a lot of liquid. So if you just use a little pressure, you can squeeze out a lot more out of a very small amount of finish versus just having whatever's on the surface and then going back for more. Okay. So if I had a ring light, I could really make you like see how much this shines up, but we're going to work with what we got here. Can't seem to ever effectively capture it on camera. Oh yeah. Check out that freaking rub off. Yeah, so this suede is going to have a lot of rub off actually, now that I think about it. It's okay. Yeah, we're just testing this out. This is going to be a good way to see if this is going to be a viable method when it comes to doing the main edges on the bag once it's sewn together. So I mean, I can see that the veg tan is shining up very nicely. It's the suede that's still pretty matte. Now my other option is I could dye it all black. I've got a little pen or marker kind of that's filled with black dye. So I could also use that, but I kind of wanted to show the blue on the edges. I think it's cool to see the different colors. So we're just going to keep going here. Worst comes to worst, if I get to like 550 or 600 grit and it's still not shining, then I could use I can use a dye pen if I have to, but I would rather not. Okay, so same thing on the other side. We're just gonna dip a little bit in there, kind of shake off the excess. Again, we don't want it to streak down on the suede side. And we're just gonna go ahead to get it on there. And now the nice thing is that as you go along, you're really building up layer upon layer of finish until eventually you get to the point where the finish is not being soaked in to the leather and it's sitting on top, which is the point at which you start to really develop a really, really, really solid shine. Right now it's still soaking in. We don't have enough layers on here yet. Got that one layer of Tolkanol, and now we've got one layer of finish. And you can do the same thing with the Tolkanol. I think it develops a shine. For me personally, it's more of a pain in the ass to put on the Tolkanol than it is to put on this finish. There's tools you can get that's essentially like a dye marker, but like made to use thicker stuff like Tolkanol. I just don't know where to get it. And also the reason I like to use this finish is it's a finish that develops with friction instead of fading with friction. So the edges will stay shiny and will actually develop more of a shine over time. Whereas the Tolkanol tends to fade in its shine over time. Just with friction, like let's say you do it on a wallet and you're pulling the wallet out, putting it back in, pulling it out, putting it back in. Okay, so we're going to move up to the next, which is 220 grit. I might not even take it past like 500. I don't know. I'm going to see how it looks here pretty soon. And eventually what you'll see starts to happen when you're doing it like this is you'll just start to kind of fog up the finish. And that's really what you want, is to get to the point where you're just fogging up the finish. You're not actually taking any material off. So like that initial sanding on the wheel is what's actually taking material off. You don't really want to take a lot of material off with these layers, because everything should be even and smooth already with your initial burnish. And I mean, if you don't get it smooth, you can do more layers of Tolkanol before you start working up the shine. And I try my best to not use a lot of pressure, because again, I just don't want to take material off unnecessarily. Especially because when sanding, if you use pressure, you can very easily sand away way too much leather really quickly. Especially on a 2-ply project like this. You're a little safer when you get to the thicker, like 6, 7, 8 ply edges. When I say ply, I mean layers. But you want to be careful when you're doing thinner stuff. Okay. And, you know, when I first started doing the edges, I was really spending a lot of time sanding. And I realized that you really don't need to sand past the point where you see your edges start to fog up. Because after that, your sanding is not really doing anything. Because what you want is to sand everything down to like perfectly smooth. So as well as developing the finish more, you're also sanding down anything that isn't even with that finish. So any like loose fibers, any little bits, you know. So, I mean, you can get, and once you kind of do this more, you'll get faster at it. Like, the first time I did it, took me fucking 3 hours to do that trifold wallet you guys have seen me show. 3 hours for just the edges. And I think I could probably do it in 75% of that time, or maybe 50% of the time. I haven't done one again in a couple weeks, so I'm going to do one again, and I might be able to drop the price on that a little bit. Because I charge my time, because, like, obviously, you know, I need to be able to feed myself and shit. And so on some things, that means that I have to charge a lot. But if I can get certain techniques down to be faster, then that means that I can make it more affordable to more people, and I can't in good conscience overcharge for something. I just wouldn't feel right about it. So actually, this actually reminds me, I'm getting close. I know no one's watching right now, but you'll say this on tomorrow's live too. I'm getting close to being able to start like accepting like paid chats and have like members on the channel. I was thinking about doing like a members only stream maybe once a month on like a Saturday, and it's basically just going to be like a Q&A, a very kind of distilled down Q&A. You can ask me questions, whatever, and idea like brainstorming session. Like, you guys, if you have ideas for videos to make, or if you have ideas for like products that you want to see me make, like, you could say those in that member only live. And the reason I would have a member only live, like, yeah, you can suggest ideas here, but I would make it where basically like I would only put member ideas into action. I don't know. It's an idea. And then I would also probably give like extra or like early access to videos. I'm basically maxing out my content right now, so like if I had the time, I would just make extra videos just for members. But right now I'm basically maximizing what I'm able to do on my own. With like the resources that I have and the amount of time I have, like even just doing the lives 5 days a week is already a ton of work. In the future, I could do member-only videos, like when I'm able to basically do more, but I don't know. I'm just rambling. Nicola. The Rambler. So I feel a little bit of, probably little bits of glue or something in the edges here. So that's where, like that's also where sanding comes in, is you'll be able to get rid of those little particles. Okay, so now we're going up from I think that was 220. We're going up to 240. It's already getting pretty shiny, so I think I might just stop at 500 grit. And the reason I'm not touching these edges is, one, this technique does not really work very well when it's just one ply. I'm still going to bevel it, but also that strap is literally going through here, like in between, so you're never going to really feel these edges as much as you are going to feel the sides when you pick up the bag to throw over your shoulder. Yeah, I'm also always checking for any problem areas. Make sure I hit those areas. Because the worst is when your edge looks like 90% perfect, and then there's that one little area that's like sticking out. You want to make sure to just try and get those areas. Here's another area that's okay. Now this is a lot quicker than some other ones because it's only two sides, so it's a lot easier to do and a lot more streamlined. But when you get to the ones where you're working with like corners and like 3 or 4 sides, then that's when it starts, that's when the time starts to add up, especially if you want to do it on the inside too. And I remember old school, before like the mirror shine became all the rage, it was just Tokonol and your burnisher and just like one layer. And that was like considered, you know, really solid edge work. That and a groove line. Nowadays it's all about the mirror shine. Oof. And I mean, if you're trying to go for like a modern / classic look, like a kind of combo, the mirror shine without dyeing the edges is the perfect way to kind of like, I think, meld old fashioned and new fashion together. Now, I don't know if I would even call my my super contrasty bags new fashion or not, but or old fashioned or not. I think more classy or classic would be if I were to go with like two-tone brown or something like that. See, there's little problem areas that I'm discovering. Oh, and one thing I should mention is you always want to do this edge work after you sew, not beforehand. What I used to do all the edge work before I sewed, but what ended up happening is chiseling those holes would end up like making kind of indents and outdents on the edges, and then you'd have like all these little ripples in the edges, and then you'd go from like a nice perfect edge to a super ripply one, and it just didn't look good. We're actually developing a really good shine now. I'm going to pick out little bits of glue. You may want to have a pair of tweezers for this step. So like if you glued, or if you're working with a leather that has a lot of fibers, a lot of loose fibers, maybe having tweezers to like pull out those little bits from the edges would be a good idea. I'll hit that area with the sander again. Okay. We're getting close. Now we're up to 320. I think I might literally just stop after this. And go ahead and hit it with the beveler, and then I may end up just calling it at that point. I might also end up being influenced by the fact that I haven't eaten anything today and I'm really hungry. You know what? I'm very food motivated. If nothing else, I am very food motivated. I just absolutely love food. Nice home-cooked meal is one of the best fucking things. I mean, fast food is also just incredibly delicious, but one gives you cancer and one doesn't, so I think I'll take the one that doesn't give me cancer. And not like I'm going to eat an amazing home-cooked meal anyways right now. Just got some ground beef I'm going to make. You know, I wish we lived in a world where I could enjoy spontaneous meals or spontaneous food without without it setting me back 2 weeks on my fitness goals. All right, I'm going to shut up. I think we're done. Okay, I'm going to try and see if I can get you guys to be able to see these edges. I guess actually first I need to bevel. So why don't I get this back here, and we're going to go ahead all right. Move this right here just so you can really see it. You've all seen me bevel before now, so. This is the real kicker, is when you're able to bevel suede, which, by the way, is extremely difficult to do. I think I'll be able to pull it off. There we go. Not quite as visually pleasing as beveling the black part, only because this suede doesn't come off in big pieces. It just like kind of disintegrates. Am I going crazy here? Which side did I just burnish? Or bevel? I don't know. I guess we'll see. Okay, yeah, I think that's this project done. Oh, sorry for the kick, sorry for the kick. So I'm going to see if I can kind of give you an idea of, no, you're probably not going to be able to see. Hold on, I'm going to pick this up actually. And I'm going to try and give you a better... Oh, there goes the tripod. I'll try and give you a little bit of a better... You see how shiny that is? So I really like that. Oh, and there goes my computer. So I think we're going to just go ahead and end it off here. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Tomorrow, I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. I'll decide it. Yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow. same time. Peace.